Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this morning's building dedication ceremony. While outside and socially distanced, you may leave your mask off, but please put it on indoors. Also, please silence all cell phones and electronic devices at this time. Good morning. We would like to thank you for supporting this morning's building dedication ceremony honoring Major General Robert L. Thompson Jr. Our host for today's ceremony is the 7th Medical Group Commander, Colonel Elizabeth Somsel. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Dyess Honor Guard, the singing of the national anthem by Staff Sergeant Praise Butler Davis, and the invocation by Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Gabriel Rios.
Present the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors turn.
Good morning and happy Tuesday. Could you please bow your head when I pray? O healing God of the universe, I invoke your blessings as we dedicate this medical building to the sacred service of medicine. We are grateful that it's dedicated to honor a distinguished Texan and American warrior, Major General Dr. Robert L. Thompson Jr. May this facility remind us of his commitment and dedication to serving others. We are thankful that his families and friends are here today. I pray that this moment can be a meaningful one for them. Bless the staff and leadership that is working and will continue to work in this place, and the patients as well. Finally, bless this facility. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Dyess Honor Guard, Sergeant Butler Davis, and Chaplain Rios. On behalf of our presiding officer, Colonel Elizabeth Somsel, welcome to today's ceremony. We are honored to have Major General Thompson's family with us today. Please hold your applause until everyone is announced. His daughters, Linda Thompson, Carol Morrison, and Beth Mitz, and her husband, Lieutenant Colonel retired Ken Mitz, and his many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We are also pleased to have several distinguished visitors with us today. Please allow me to introduce them at this time. The Air Combat Command, Command Surgeon, and Assistant Surgeon General for Dental Services, Brigadier General Robert Bogart. The Career Field Manager for Air Force Dental Services, Chief Master Sergeant Latoya Kendrick. The 7th Bomb Wing Commander, Colonel Joe Kramer. The 7th Bomb Wing Vice Commander, Colonel Kevin Kippy. The 7th Medical Group Commander, Colonel Elizabeth Somsel. Representing the 7th Medical Group Superintendent, Senior Master Sergeant Valerie McBurney. Representing U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, Mrs. Bobby Hansen. We would also like to welcome all group and squadron commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, Team Dyess warriors, families, and friends that have joined us for this special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the presiding officer, Colonel Elizabeth Somsel.
Thanks, Lieutenant Reno. We appreciate you keeping us on cue this morning. Thank you for that lovely anthem, and Chaplain for your invocation as well. I appreciate everyone making it in today. Bring this up just for a minute. There we go. I know several of you have traveled from across Texas and across the U.S. to be here to honor General Thompson's memory and legacy, and we really do appreciate you joining us today. As well as to our esteemed guests for visiting, and from across the wing, thank you for being here. So I will say, I'm a physician as background, and dental is one of those career fields. It's not known as one of the sexiest things. The military and the civilian world, I think, are probably similar on that. And it's so, because of that, it's often overlooked. Little shop of horrors aside. However, it's one that has a huge impact on improving the quality of life for people today, and has actually changed the length of people's lives in the last century. And it's a crucial field to our military and to our readiness. It ensures that our member can do their daily jobs and that they can deploy in our nation's defense. Major General Thompson was one of our first dental leaders in the Air Force, and he paved the way for many to follow. And for further comments, I'll introduce one of those who has followed in his footsteps, our ACC-SG and our current Dental Corps Chief, as well as a former 7th Group Medical Group Commander, Brigadier General Bogart.
So I got to tell you, Dyess, it's wonderful to be back, and for an occasion like this, it's especially exciting to see literally half of the audience filled with family. It's just wonderful. So what are we here for today? Well, we're here to celebrate a legacy. We're here to celebrate enduring change. So Major General retired Robert Thompson Jr. and his family are here for us to officially rename this medical group. As was just mentioned, Major General Thompson was the 8th Dental Corps Chief, and to give some sense of perspective, I'm actually the 21st. So there's been a few years between the two of us. Also, knowing Texas pride, I actually have one natural-born Texan in my family, so I want to make sure that we get this out. Major General Thompson is a native Texan. He was born in Uvalde, Texas. Went to high school there. He did leave for a short time. He went to VMI, Virginia Military Institute, undergrad, but he came back with a course, he went to dental school at the University of Texas. Now, the year that he joined the Air Force may seem a little while ago, but again, this is a little while ago. He joined the Air Force in 1949. That is just 2 years after the Air Force became an independent service. So, if you're remembering, just last month the Air Force became 74 years old. So he was a significant part of the Air Force when it began. Throughout his career, he made significant contributions, not just to the Air Force, but also Air Force dentistry. A lot of these continue. Think about it, young Air Force, lots of processes, procedures were just being established. He helped mature what we call our assignment system for our dental officers at wonderful Randolph Air Force Base, what has endured as Air Force Personnel Center. He also focused on improving personnel policies, specialty requirements, and dental education programs, all of which continue to be a primary reason that we recruit dentists and why we retain them. Now, some of the bases that he served at through, you may have heard about it years ago, something called BRAC, Base Realignment and Closure. Not all of these bases exist anymore, but I just wanted to highlight a few that are interesting bases. So, one of them was Amarillo Air Force Base. I don't know if you realize, but there was an active Air Force Base there. He also served at Aldrin Air Force Base. You may have heard the Panama Canal, so we had an active base there in the Panama Canal zone. He also spent a year in Vietnam, leading dental services there. Again, that conflict was in the past, but again, he had a tremendous presence, not just for obviously dentistry, but for leadership within that nation. In recognition of all of the work that he had done throughout his career, Colonel Thompson was selected to be the 8th Deputy Surgeon, Deputy Assistant Surgeon General for Dental Services and promoted to Brigadier General. Ultimately, as we all know, and we'll see shortly, he was promoted to Major General. During his career, he also earned numerous medals and awards. I just want to point out that he had both an Bronze Star and Legion of Merit. Tremendous achievements and accomplishments that recognize what he did. And again, his involvement in dentistry wasn't just limited to the Air Force. He was also very involved in organized dentistry. Let's name just a couple: the American Dental Association and the American Association of Dental Schools. So in conclusion, I'm excited to see this come out in a few minutes. The reason that this building is being renamed is to show the support of what Major General did, not just during the short part of his career, but in enduring career. Changes that last, just like this building, which has gone through other changes, continues to be an important part of not only this community, but of the wing of the Dyess Air Force Base. So again, thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to say a few words about a fantastic predecessor, again, 8th, and now up to the 21st. It's just amazing what he did. It's amazing that his differences continue to endure. Again, excited to watch this building take its name. Now that being said, it's time for family members to come on stage. So I want to go ahead and introduce Lieutenant Colonel retired Ken Mitz for some comments from the family. Ken, the floor is yours.
Thank you, General Bogart, for your kind and sincere comments. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here at today's ceremony and to be its keynote speaker. General Bogart, General Kramer, General Kippy, Chief Kendrick, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and what a beautiful early morning it is. My name is Ken Metz, and I'm married to General Thompson's daughter, Beth. Beth, you just raise your hand. I won't ask you to stand until you can be recognized. Joe and Miss Thompson have 2 other daughters here today, Linda Thompson and Carol Morrison. Joe Thompson was a kind, gracious, and humble man who most certainly would be uncomfortable with all the attention that he is receiving today. He never sought the spotlight. As an example, I graduated from OTS 1977. He was a 2-star general at the time, and he showed up at the ceremony in civilian clothes. He didn't want to be a distraction to the ceremony. He would probably be mortified if he knew the efforts Beth and I took to restore his memorialization. At the same time, I know he'd be appreciative of today's rededication. Joan Thompson was married to Lois Musselwhite. They had 4 children, 3 daughters and 1 son. Their son, Robert L. Thompson III, affectionately known as Robs or Bear, passed from lung cancer, the same cancer that took his mother's life. Beth, Linda, and Carol wanted today's ceremony to focus on General and Mrs. Thompson's grandchildren. General and Mrs. Thompson have 7 grandchildren and 11 great-grandchildren. We're happy that 4 grandchildren make the ceremony today. We have Troy Thompson, Michael DeLoach, Kristen Metz, and Kimberly Metz-Clausen. And the 3 great-grandchildren are here, Parker, Sean, and Demi. Later, they will participate in the drinking ceremony. The journey to today's rededication ceremony has been a long one. General Thompson retired in 1979 and passed on July 20th, 1983. In 1988, the Air Force decided to recognize General Thompson's significant contributions to the Air Force by naming the newly renovated Medical Center at Carswell Air Force Base the Major General R.L. Thompson Strategic Hospital. In 1993, the base realignment and closure process resulted in the Air Force's loss of Carswell Air Force Base, which resulted in the elimination of the legacy of General Thompson. Around 1996, Beth and I petitioned the Air Force to restore General Thompson's memorialization. As a result, the Air Force decided to name the dental clinic at Dyess in his honor. About 2 years ago, when Beth and I were going to bring our grandchildren here to see their great-grandfather's name on the dental clinic, we found out that the dental clinic no longer existed. It had been, we later found out it had been demolished in 2007. We made some calls, but it's been a while, so nobody seemed to remember anything about the dental clinic. Beth did some digging and ran across retired Air Force Colonel Keith Savage, who had written a book about the history of the Air Force's dental corps and was aware of the Major General Thompson Jr. dental clinic at Dyess. We're happy to have Colonel Savage and his wife Melanie with us today. Colonel and Mrs. Savage, will you please raise your hand to be recognized? In 2018, Beth and I wrote the Air Force's Surgeon General, General Hogg, asking if anything could be done to restore General Thompson's legacy. General Hogg passed our request to then Brigadier General Sharon Bannister, now Major General Sharon Bannister. She and Colonel Sheets were able to have the 7th Med Group Clinic named after General Thompson. No easy task, I'm sure. My rededication email folder alone has over 200 emails. The family is deeply indebted to General Bannister and Colonel Sheets for their efforts. General Thompson is the only dental officer to have a medical facility named in his honor. There are Air Force dental clinics named after Air Force dentists, but no medical facility. The family is so grateful to the Air Force for this unique recognition. Our hope is that the Air Force will update their policies regarding the elimination of named facilities to make every effort to maintain the legacy of the individual whose name is on that facility. Not only should that be important to the Air Force, but it is also respectful of the current and future generations of the individual who has been memorialized. On behalf of General Thompson's family, I thank General Bannister, General Bogart, Colonel Sheets, the Dyess leadership, the 7th Medical Group, attendees at today's ceremony, especially family members who have traveled across the country to be here today. The many project officers involved with today's ceremony, to include the current project officers, Major Chambers, and Captain Campbell. And a particular mention and thanks to the 7th Med Group's facility manager, retired Chief Master Sergeant Tony Dyess. Tony took care of the many details surrounding today's ceremony, which included the posting of the plaques, the hanging of General Thompson's portrait in the main lobby, today's draping of General Thompson's plaque and name on the facility, and many, many more details. I also thank the Chief for the conditions in which he keeps this facility and its grounds. Chief, they always look great. But most importantly, I thank General Thompson for his contributions to the Air Force and its General Corps. Thank you, Dad. A job well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed with the unveiling of the building signage and memorial plaque. Will the Thompson family please come forward to remove the coverings? Thank you, Thompson family. Please be seated. On behalf of Colonel Somsel, I would like to thank each and every one of you for making this a memorable occasion for Major General Thompson's family. As a reminder, please remember to wear your masks indoors and socially distanced. After the Air Force song is played, please join us in the coffee shop behind me for refreshments. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remain standing for the playing of the Air Force song.